This is your weekly report on corruption in the Philippine government. A barangay chairman and a driver were shot and wounded on Saturday, August 2nd, in Barangay Tagbas, Albura, Leyte. The victims were identified as Barangay Captain Enrico Barcelona of Barangay Tinagan, Albura and his driver Sable Gubalain. Initial investigation revealed that the victims on board Barcelona's vehicle were shot when they reached a bridge in Barangay Tagbas by unidentified gunmen at 4:30 p.m. Victims were taken to a hospital in Ormoc City, Leyte by the Albura Rescue Unit. Police are conducting follow-up investigation and pursuit operations. A former municipal mayor in Cavite and his brother have been dismissed from their posts for the second time by the Office of the Ombudsman. Former Silang Mayor Alston Kevin Anana and his brother, former Municipal Administrator and Bids and Awards Committee Chairman Nathaniel Anana Jr., have been found guilty of grave misconduct and conduct prejudicial to the best interest of the service. The charges against the Ananas stemmed from a complaint filed by Silang Mayor Edward Carranza, former Vice Mayor Mark Anthony Toledo and Councillor Perpetuo Disingano. Aside from dismissal, the Ombudsman cancelled the eligibility and forfeited the retirement benefits of the Ananas as well as disqualified them from holding any public post. The Ombudsman dismissed the charges of nepotism filed against the respondents for lack of merit. In an 18-page ruling issued on the 25th of June and received by the Office of Carranza on Friday, the Ombudsman said Anana Jr. was not qualified to hold the position and that his designation undermined the public's faith and confidence in the local government. Despite the glaring want of qualification, Alston designated Nathaniel to head the BAC, compromising the principles of transparency and accountability. The ruling read, since the Ananas have already been out of government service due to their disqualification in 2024, the second dismissal will be converted into a fine equivalent to their one-year salary, payable to the Ombudsman. State prosecutors said the penalty of perpetual disqualification from public service is not symbolic. It said public officials remain accountable for misconduct committed while in office even after leaving the service. An absent without official leave police officer was shot dead on Sunday in Sitio Gungab, Barangay Poblacion, Albura, Leyte. The victim was identified as Dexter Patnog, 47, who had been AWOL since 2007 and a resident of Blisbagan Buhay, Ormoc City, Leyte. The victim was watching a cockfight when an unidentified gunman appeared and fired at him. Patnog sustained multiple bullet wounds and died on the spot. The incident triggered panic, prompting people at the Antonio B. Zaldivar Cockpit and Sports Center to flee. The Albura Municipal Police Station launched an investigation and conducting pursuit operation to identify and apprehend the suspect. 21 soldiers, including an Army company commander, of the Army's 6th Infantry Battalion based in Maguindanao del Sur, have been relieved from their posts following the death of a neophyte soldier during traditional reception rites. Private Charlie Patigayan, a 22-year-old recruit from Columbugan, Lanao del Norte, died while undergoing reception rites at the 6th Infantry Battalion headquarters in Datuping, Maguindanao del Sur, on the 30th of July. In a statement Monday, the Army's 6th Infantry Division said, reception rites, long observed as a tradition to welcome new members into the military community, must be conducted with utmost consideration for the health and safety of soldiers. It added that these activities must remain within the bounds of existing military policies and regulations. Any deviation or breach that compromises the welfare of personnel is subject to disciplinary action, the 6ID added. Lieutenant Colonel Roden Orban, the 6ID spokesperson, said in a radio interview that the 21 infantrymen, including the company commander and his executive officer, were relieved and restricted inside the battalion headquarters. The relief order, issued on Monday, aims to facilitate an impartial investigation into Patigayan's death. Patigayan and other soldiers were being welcomed by senior army personnel at the 6IB base when he suddenly collapsed. His companions rushed him to a hospital, citing an army medical report. Orban said the cause of Patigayan's death was kidney failure. 6ID Commander Major General Donald M. Gumaran has ordered an investigation to determine if there was hazing or maltreatment that led to the young soldier's death. The 6ID maintains a zero-tolerance policy against practices that endanger the lives of soldiers, he assured. Earlier, relatives of Patigayan in Calambregan had sought the help of the army to conduct an impartial investigation. The National Police Commission on Monday suspended for 90 days the 12 police officers tagged by whistleblower Julie Totoy Patadongan in the disappearance of Sabungeris or cockfight enthusiasts. The suspension was announced by Napolcom Vice Chairperson and Executive Officer Rafael Vicente Calinizan during a press conference in Quezon City. The chief PNP or his duly authorized representative is hereby directed to implement this order immediately and to submit proof of compliance to the Commission within 5 days of receipt hereof, Calinizan said, reading from the 4-page resolution. Those ordered suspended were Colonel Jacinto Malineo Jr., Lieutenant Colonel Ryan J. Oripa, Major Mark Philip Almadilla, Police Executive Master Sergeant Aaron Ezra Cabillan, Police Executive Master Sergeant Arturo de la Cruz Jr., Police Senior Master Sergeant Joey Encarnacion, Police Senior Master Sergeant Mark Anthony Manrique, Police Senior Master Sergeant Anderson Abari, Police Master Sergeant Renan Fulgencio, Police Staff Sergeant Alfredo Andres, Police Staff Sergeant Edmund Munoz, Corporal Angel Joseph Martin. Malineo, the former director of Batangas Provincial Police Office, is being investigated for alleged grave misconduct, grave neglect of duty and conduct unbecoming of a police officer. The 11 other cops are facing complaints for grave misconduct and conduct unbecoming of a police officer. The Commission, after a careful and judicious evaluation of the records and the motion, finds that there exists substantial legal and factual basis to warrant the grant of the motion for preventive suspension. The resolution, signed by Interior and Local Government Secretary John Vic Ramada and 3 Napolcom officials, read, the gravity of the charges, the preliminary showing of strong evidence of guilt and the necessity to safeguard the integrity and impartiality of the proceedings collectively justify the imposition of preventive suspension against the respondents. It added, the resolution pointed out that the preventive suspension is not tantamount to a finding of culpability on the part of the policeman. The imposition of preventive suspension is not a penalty, but a protective and procedural measure intended to preserve the integrity of the investigation, prevent any undue influence or interference in the proceedings and assure the availability of evidence and witnesses, it said. Patidongan linked the 12 police officers to the abductions of the cockfight enthusiasts, with businessman Charlie Atang as the alleged mastermind. Ang has denied Patidongan's accusation and filed counter-charges against him. Last Friday, relatives of the missing cockfight enthusiasts filed murder and illegal detention complaints against Ang and several others before the Department of Justice. The Police Regional Office Negros Island Region is conducting an investigation into the incident involving a police officer who failed to respond to the commission of a crime in his presence. We do not condone any act of neglect or failure to perform duty, especially in situations where police presence is critical to public safety. We assure the public that this matter is being addressed with urgency, transparency, and fairness, Brigadier General Arnold Thomas Ibe said in a statement on Monday. The police officer, with a rank of lieutenant, was seen in an undated viral video with 2 individuals who were throwing bottles during a drinking session in Barangay Punong, Lapas, Iloilo City. Lieutenant Colonel Joe Malong, Public Information Officer of PRONIR, said they saw the closed-circuit television video being circulated online on Monday, prompting Ibe to relieve the police officer from his post at the Regional Logistics and Research Development Division here. Upon review and verification of the incident, immediate actions were taken to uphold accountability and reinforce our commitment to public trust and professional conduct, she said. Malong said the concerned personnel was reassigned to the Regional Personnel Holding Administrative Unit, while the formal investigation is being conducted by the Regional Investigation and Detective Management Division. She said the police officer was also required to surrender his issued firearm. A police officer is facing criminal charges after he was accused of attempting to drown 3 minor girls at a beach resort in Barangay Marigondon on Sunday afternoon, the 3rd of August, 2025. The 3 16-year-old complainants claimed that while they were bathing at the beach around 3 p.m., the patrolman approached them and told them not to swim in the deeper part of the water. Moments later, he allegedly pulled one of the girls by the arm, grabbed the others, and tried to drown them. The minors believe the police officer was under the influence of alcohol at the time of the incident. Responding to a call from a concerned citizen, personnel from Lapu-Lapu City Police Station 4 immediately went to the scene. The accused officer, who was off duty at the time, has strongly denied the allegations. He claimed he was also swimming at the beach when he noticed a strong current and warned a group of teenage boys not to go into the deeper part of the water. He insisted he did not recall interacting with the female complainants. However, the girls maintained that aside from them, 2 male teenagers were also harassed by the officer. In a separate report, a vendor near the beach alleged that the same officer forced him to smell the officer's sock. On Monday, the 4th of August, the policeman underwent inquest proceedings before the city prosecutor's office. Police Lieutenant Colonel Christian Torres, spokesperson of the Lapu-Lapu City Police Office, said the officer is facing charges for physical injuries in relation to Republic Act No. 7610, also known as the Anti-Child Abuse Law. In addition to the criminal case, the complainant may also pursue administrative charges against the police officer. Through its 911 hotline for swift and responsive police service, a cop and another suspect were arrested for illegal discharge and illegal possession of firearms in separate incidents in Manila and Calacan City, the National Capital Region Police Office said on Tuesday. In a statement, NCRPO Chief Major General Anthony Abaran said a concerned citizen called 911 around 10:53 p.m. Sunday, reporting the alleged firearm discharge along Morian Street, Barangay 123 in Tondo, Manila. Operatives from the Raxabago police station under the Manila Police District who were immediately dispatched to the scene observed the 37-year-old suspect, a police officer, engaging in a drinking session with friends. Upon informing him of the complaint, the suspect surrendered his government-issued firearm, loaded with 13 rounds of 9mm ammunition. Along with his PNP ID, the suspect was brought to Police Station 1 for further investigation, while his firearm, magazine, ammunition, and identification will be transferred to the MPD General Assignment and Investigation Section for the proper disposition of the case. Our swift and responsive actions following a 911 report reflect the Chief PNP's unbending commitment to public safety and accountability within the PNP ranks. No one is above the law, everyone will be accountable for their actions, Abaran said. The Calacan City Police Station on Tuesday, the 5th of August, denied allegations that the death of a 20-year-old college student from leptospirosis was connected to the arrest of his father. The statement came in response to a viral social media post claiming that the student contracted the disease after repeatedly wading through floodwaters to search for his missing father, who was later discovered to be in police custody for a minor gambling offense. According to the police, the student's illness developed under circumstances unrelated to the police operation. Based on verified reports and timelines, the unfortunate death of the youth due to leptospirosis is not related to the arrest of the father. The health-related incident occurred under different circumstances that have no causal connection to the police operation, the statement said. In light of questions raised about possible lapses during the arrest, the Calacan police reiterated their commitment to transparency and accountability. They encouraged the family to file a formal complaint if officers fail to notify them about the arrest, assuring the public of a thorough investigation. Any allegation of misconduct will be thoroughly investigated and necessary disciplinary actions will be taken as appropriate, they said. The police also confirmed that the station commander and personnel involved in the incident have been temporarily relieved from their posts pending further review. They further clarified that bail and release procedures fall under the jurisdiction of the courts and the prosecutor's office, not the Philippine National Police. The recommendation for bail and subsequent temporary release of the accused is solely within the jurisdiction of the prosecutor's office and the court. The PNP has no authority or influence over such judicial decisions, the station said. In response to other concerns raised in the viral post, such as the proliferation of online gambling, the police noted that these matters fall under the responsibility of other government agencies. The PNP's mandate primarily covers peace and order, crime prevention, and law enforcement, they stated. The Calacan police also urged the public to exercise caution in spreading information online, warning against the dangers of misinformation. The police extended their condolences to the student's family. We offer our condolences to the family of the deceased youth and assure the community of our continued dedication to serving the people of Calacan City with integrity and professionalism, it said. A 24-year-old teacher in Lanao del Sur was shot dead by an unidentified gunman on Monday morning, police reported. In his report to the Police Regional Office Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, Lanao del Sur Police Provincial Director Colonel Kiza Kabuhat identified the victim as Danilo Barba, a dedicated teacher at Palabagan Trade School. The victim, a native of Trento, Agusan del Sur, was walking toward the school in Barangay Nara, Balabagan, when a lone gunman shot him at about 8 am. Barba died on the spot from gunshot wounds to the head. Bangsamoro Education Minister Mohagar Iqbal condemned the killing. It is with deep sorrow that the Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education condemns the tragic killing of Mr. Danilo Barba, a dedicated teacher of Balabagan Trade School in Lanao del Sur, who was mercilessly shot and killed on the morning of the 4th of August, 2025, Iqbal said in a statement. Iqbal said the act of violence against an educator is both painful and unacceptable. He said teachers are pillars of the community and their safety must be safeguarded at all times. Iqbal urged the local police to bring the perpetrators behind bars to prevent similar attacks on educators in the future. Dr. Rabina Minbantus Makabuna, Lanao del Sur 2 Schools Division Superintendent, also condemned the attack. We strongly condemn this senseless and violent act that took away the life of an educator who committed himself to the service of our learners and the community, Makabuna said in a statement. She called for a thorough investigation and for all those responsible to be held accountable. An incumbent barangay Kagawad and another male individual were arrested for allegedly possessing 500 grams of suspected shabu in Lanao del Norte, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency said. This was the result of a buy-bust operation Tuesday night at a town center in Barangay Poblacion, Kapatagan. The PDEA detailed in a statement Wednesday. The drugs were found in 4 knot-tied transparent plastic sachets of different sizes, the agency added. PDEA identified the barangay Kagawad only as Nomari, 41, and the other male individual as Al-Haraki, 32. The agency said both suspects were residents of Barangay Mamanan in Salvador Town in the same province. However, PDEA did not say in which barangay the Kagawad was currently elected. The 2 suspects will face charges for violations of Republic Act 9165 or the Dangerous Drugs Act, according to the agency. The Sandigan Bayan has affirmed the conviction of 2 barangay officials in Milanay, Quezon for malversation of 900,495 pesos of public funds in 2007, affirmed with the 15th of June, 2023 decision handed down by the Quezon Regional Trial Court which convicted barangay chairperson Annabel Villuar and treasurer Jocelyn Jaquica of Barangay 4 Poblacion in Malunay Town. Also affirmed was the imprisonment imposed by the RTC on Villuar and Jaquica ranging from 2 years, 4 months and 1 day to 6 years and 1 day, and the payment of fine amounting to 900,495 pesos. In their appeal before the anti-graft court, they claimed that there should be proof that demand was made by any duly authorized officer for the public funds. But the anti-graft court said, it did not matter that demand was not made against the accused appellant since the same is not necessary to prove malversation. At the end of the day, what pivots this court to a judge is whether the essential elements of malversation, as provided by law and jurisprudence, were proven beyond reasonable doubt, as found by the trial court. Thus, it ruled that with the failure of Villuar and Jaquica to provide compelling reasons to overturn the decision, their judgment of conviction should only be sustained. The 22-page decision was written by Associate Justice Maria Teresa Dolores C. Gomez, Estosta with the concurrence of Associate Justices Aldi V. Trespizes and Georgina D. Hidalgo. Members of a National Bureau of Investigation, Special Task Force are under investigation following alleged irregularities in the service of a search warrant at a resort in Malolos City, Bulacan on the 14th of July. In a radio interview Wednesday, NBI Director Jamie Santiago said the 13 STF members were reassigned to other units. The operation was for alleged love scam operations, but the agents provided the incorrect address to the court when it requested for a search warrant. Instead of Ligas Road, the warrant indicated Santa Rita. Santiago said he will also be meeting with the lawyers of the Chinese nationals who were arrested during the raid over allegation that personal items were confiscated by the NBI agents. It is really going to be dismissed. A search warrant should particularly identify the place to be searched and the things to be seized. The court was misled into issuing that warrant, Santiago said. He said the NBI's Internal Affairs Unit is already investigating. Meanwhile, the Chinese nationals arrested during the raid remained under custody of the NBI as they face deportation charges. Members of a National Bureau of Investigation, Special Task Force are under investigation following alleged irregularities in the service of a search warrant at a resort in Malolos City, Bulacan on the 14th of July. In a radio interview Wednesday, NBI Director Jamie Santiago said the 13 STF members were reassigned to other units. The operation was for alleged love scam operations, but the agents provided the incorrect address to the court when it requested for a search warrant. Instead of Ligas Road, the warrant indicated Santa Rita. Santiago said he will also be meeting with the lawyers of the Chinese nationals who were arrested during the raid over allegation that personal items were confiscated by the NBI agents. It is really going to be dismissed. A search warrant should particularly identify the place to be searched and the things to be seized. The court was misled into issuing that warrant, Santiago said. He said the NBI's Internal Affairs Unit is already investigating. Meanwhile, the Chinese nationals arrested during the raid remained under custody of the NBI as they face deportation charges. That's all for this week. I'll see you next Friday with more stories of corruption and foolishness within the Philippine government.